No, I did.
Like I said, tell them all that.
Go over there now.
$10:00, I call this meeting in order. Roll call,
Mr. Wilkinson, Mr. Geller,
here.
Mr. Mullins, a quorum is present.
Okay, as you wish, please stand for the pledge and the interview. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we ask your presence as we do the business of the county. Be with us in our decisions, that we make the right decisions that benefit our county, and we want it to be right in your eyes. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. The consent agenda consists of approval of minutes of last week's meeting, certificate of training for the sheriff, certificate of training for the floodplain administrator, and a wage adjustment for the union and road and bridge employees. Motion?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as printed.
Second?
I'll second.
Questions? Yes, Bud.
Commissioners, concerning the wage adjustment for union and RMD employees, can you explain that further?
Yes, our road and bridge department has morphed from a repair department to a construction company. They have really advanced and they've become, you've seen the pictures of the bridges they build and everything else. They've really advanced. We thought it was time to show our appreciation for that and to adjust some wages. And so we met with them, and there were also some imbalances. For instance, help me out here, Clay, the sign man was making 6 cents less than the other.
We basically constructed our own pay matrix, if you will, for our employees, for a 3-tiered job title position. We had some employees that were way below what the comparable matrix for the courthouse showed. We adjusted for that. Over the past 3 years, our administration at Road and Bridge went from 3 people to 2. We absorbed those duties, so we have saved that position's wages for over 3 years, and we're utilizing that to reestablish an exclusive pay matrix. And when I say exclusive, it is exclusive from the courthouse or the jail, because it was John and I sat in on several paid subcommittee meetings, and it was not practical for the road and bridge employees to be compared to the courthouse employees as far as how their pay matrix was established. Our matrix will not be affected by years of service. If you have this job title, that's what you're paid regardless of your years of service. And we had just adjusted it accordingly and absorbed the pay from that former highway administrator's pay into the road and bridges pay structure.
Across the board.
Across the board, throughout the department. And that, like I said, that's a salary that we've saved for over 3.5 years. And we just now came to the point where we would absorb that salary back into the road and bridge.
And to highlight, in my opinion, the advancement of the quality of the work, both our supervisors are working on their engineering degree this time. And that's important, I think, in the quality of the work they're doing and the style of the work they're doing and the design choices they make and that kind of thing.
And I mean, there's a lot of details involved with this restructure. I don't know if it's practical to go over them all in this meeting. It may take longer than what this meeting would last to go over every single detail. The money was budgeted for it. The money is there for these salary adjustments. We met with the commission, met with HR in a lengthy meeting, and went over all these adjustments.
Effective January 1?
Yes, effective January 1.
Okay.
This is an issue with not only our non-union employees, but our union employees as well.
In your department?
Within our department, yes. And the representative from Teamsters Local 600 is present here today. So there will have to be some changes made within the contract upon the agreement with the commission and the Teamsters Local 600. And
Yeah.
But I mean, I could answer questions all day long on how we restructured this, but I don't know if it's really practical to do here today.
I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't know, this is the first I saw of it, but the auditor brings up a good point, that we have not discussed this in open meeting before. Right? Well,
No.
we can do this now that we discuss it. We can always do it on consent, but a consent item, if you're going to do that, and if there's gonna be anybody that's involved in it that would like to have input, it should probably go to general business first. And this time, since we've got it on the calendar, I mean, and we discussed it, we can go at your discretion and prove it. It's my fault. That should have been,
Now,
probably should have been through the general business first.
realize that Road and Ridge submitted their budget to the auditor's office, for review beginning of the month.
Gotcha.
And of course, there will need to be an amendment to our budget in regards to this from the initial numbers that we submitted. We did not want to give these numbers to the auditors until the commission approved the changes within the budget for the year 2021. So we didn't want to put the cart before the horse. But once, if and when this is approved, then we will give the revised amended numbers to the auditor for our budget, which will ultimately be approved by the commission.
It's not illegal. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying procedurally, anytime we talk about salaries and things like that, we usually do it from general business first. And then if there was that's always already been discussed, and if something came back just for the formal, then you can do it in consent because you've already had a hearing of where people from the public can ask questions. Just, that's my fault. That should have been on general. But, okay.
You want
You
to table
can,
it?
you can move forward.
Got till January 1st, you want to table it, or what do you want to do?
Don't need to table it, I don't think, do you?
I mean,
Well, we're gonna have a vote on here now. You wouldn't need to table the,
Now, I would ask for any public input in right now, and then you can go ahead and have your vote.
yeah, that's what I mean, and we're in the questions.
A lot of times consent issues turn into discussion issues in legislative process, but you still have to give people the opportunity. If you want to give them the opportunity, if anybody's got any comments, questions or like that, then you can vote on it under that.
Are there any other questions?
Commissioner, I just want to remind you of the recent state audit that we went through, that we need that documentation probably prior to your vote.
Okay, then I believe we should table this and
We can put it on next week's
Table this
agenda under
item.
table.
table this item and put it on next week's meeting to have a discussion.
Right,
And then act on it then, and have the documentation. Good points all, thank you so much.
Okay, so I need to redo my consent agenda approval motion.
Yes, you have to amend it, saying you amend it by moving it to approve 1 through 3 and not item 4.
I amend my original amendment to include items 1, 2, 3, and put 4 on the
There you go.
table to be determined next time we meet.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, please put that on the table agenda item for
Well,
next week.
vote.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
so what do we need to do?
You'll be fine. We just need to put it on the agenda so that we've had officially done it before.
Louis, what documents do you need?
Well, obviously, what the adjustments are going
Your
to
numbers,
be.
yeah.
Sure.
And needs to be brought up in public session, what the raises will be for you to vote on, as you have with other employees.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you. Okay, two table items. One of them is a memorandum of understanding for the salary commission and uniform disbursement. I believe you have a comment?
Yeah, we were, the committee was going to meet with the sheriff last week and get input, concerns, whatever it may be from the sheriff before we went any further with this. And he was tied up all the whole time we were here and we're not able to do it. So our plan is to meet after this meeting with the sheriff. So, and there's really not gonna be a report to report back, but I mean,
Well, we're running out of chief of police, so you may be free this week.
we're running out of time for the budget and everything else, so we're gonna try to get that squared
Only
away.
into this topic. Okay, okay, so that's, we'll talk about it next week?
Right.
Okay. And memorandum of understanding with TDL police agreement. We finally think we have this. Dan, do you have any input?
I have read over it, and with the changes you've made, I think we're in good shape.
Okay. We have, finally their attorney came through. Our attorney was pretty busy. And there was one line in there that I took out, in their agreement, we had to use their existing officers, which means that we can't fire anybody, we can't, you know, if one of them quits, we have to go get him and bring him back. So I took that line out of there. But other than that, we're going, we have what we think is a viable agreement with TDL, Cadillac. I have some copies on the table up here if anybody wants to pick it up.
And you want to put that on our IT, that agreement, on our website, right? So if
Yes.
somebody in the
Yeah.
public has a question, they can look at the detail, and we can
Yeah.
upload that.
Yeah.
We're putting everything on there
Mhm.
now, so I think these type things, a lot easier to put it on, and everybody can look at the thing.
Yeah. Okay,
I move that we accept the memorandum of understanding with Terra Lac, please.
any questions? I'll make a comment that this outlines that they pay exactly what we spent the previous month on TDL. Whatever the expense is, it'll be red flagged or flagged here in our accounting system. And then the first week of each month, we send them a bill for whatever the total was the previous month. And then they have till the third week of the month to pay us. They have a 1.5% penalty if they don't get us paid in time. This will not be levelized pay. There'll be times that their insurance bill comes on due at 1 month, and maybe that's the only bill for the year. So that'd be a huge bill that month. There'll be times that we have 3 payroll periods instead of 2 in a month. So it is not levelized payment for them, but that's the agreement that we pay, we charge them actually, the actual charges that we incur. There's no guessing, there's no estimate, there's no annual revision of it because it's just actual cost. So that's, and we think our accounting system's good enough to do that. So, I have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Rich?
Harold, as you just discussed this, this almost sounds like an installment plan. Should they fall behind in their payments, would you terminate service?
Yes, it's in the contract.
And it's in the contract?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
How many deputies and such will there be for this? How do you
They
work?
specify 5.
Will that possibly change over time, or do
They will belong to Dan, and the 5 is a specification.
Okay.
So, but they'll be Dan's employees. And
Right.
so, and by the way, the county can pull them out if there's some big call or something, pull them away and do that. So they will be Dan's employees, the sheriff's employees. Any other questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you. General business, pay decrease for the mapper, assessor's office.
Don't see that on.
You wanna talk about it?
I think Cory was gonna talk about it.
Okay.
Cory Sharp, HR. So I spoke with Dan Ward a couple weeks ago, and I think the current mapper is getting ready to retire and leave. When he was hired on, he had a lot of experience and background, and so he started out at a higher pay. Well, now that that job's going to become open, they want to lower that for the next person that comes in.
Yeah. Danny Edgar's about to retire, and been here forever, does a great job, but he's on the very high end of the pay scale. And we don't just automatically hire somebody, replace somebody, and put them in at the last, whatever the last guy was making. Don't do that. So, we need a motion, I guess, to decrease the pay for that job.
I would move that we, decrease the salary for the mapper in the assessor's office.
And I'd second that.
And you have a level in mind, or how does that work?
I have spoke with Dan. We do have a rate in mind that we will start out at for the new person.
Okay, and when is the retirement gonna happen?
September 1st, 2021.
Well, it's already happened.
No,
No.
in 2021.
Oh, okay, next, okay.
Are you gonna have any overlap on that? I mean, is that the intent to have the new person come in and be trained a little bit from the existing mapper?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Did I get a motion second?
Yep.
Okay, any questions? Alex?
Probably a silly question, but what happens if the applicant comes in and has equal experience or more experience? What's their pay rate going to be?
I guess that would be something that Dan would have to take in front of the commission.
Address that at that time. Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Award bid for the duty belt and the handguns. Dan?
lay these on the table up here. We only received one bid for the, belts and holsters, and that was from, J&J Professional Uniforms here in the county. And we received 3 bids on the weapons, Smith & Wesson, Glock, and, another one. Find it here, I'll tell you what it is.
How many weapons are we talking about?
We're talking about 60 weapons.
Now, all the other ones are owned by the people themselves?
Every weapon that, the officers are carrying now, they own and they purchase.
So disposal's not a problem?
No, it's not. We do own a few handguns that, were, like this by the, DOD program that we own. And, but they'll be kept in armory for extra, in case they're needed. Zig Sauer was the other one. They're all up here, on discussion with the officers and the armor and the people. Most everybody knows I'm not a big Glock fan, but we are going to go with, 9mm Glocks. And, the bid, all the bids are up there, if you want to take a look at them.
What's the price of those ones you chose? And is that the cheapest gun?
Result of this.
No such thing as cheap.
Glock was $28,900.
Okay.
That's for 60 weapons.
28,900?
Yes,
Okay.
that's for weapons, extra clips, everything they need.
Something like $500 a piece?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw your belt bids go up to 5X. Are we expecting an expansion in the department?
We have a few in the department have already expanded. They're eating too well.
On the recommendation of the sheriff, I move that we award the bid to Glock for the weapons to be acquired for the police or the sheriff.
Second?
And I will second that.
Is this budgeted? Is it budgeted?
No, I would not.
When will this be done?
For the first year.
Okay. And it'll be budgeted then?
Yes.
I thought we'd redirected roofing funds to do this, or is that,
We did.
so it's not.
I wasn't in on that part of it, I think that.
Yeah, I believe last year we had set aside monies for a future roof, and after our maintenance, department led by Brian Briley, they found out that we could, use some, that we could kick that can, the roof, down the road just a little bit, maybe a year or two, and use some of these monies for this, and I believe it was a result of also the citizen committee.
Isn't that how you got it, Louis? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a budgeted item for next year.
It is not a budgeted item for this year or at this point for next year. But the Citizens Committee did recommend that be done that way with the approval of the sheriff.
But after a while, we run out of roofing money too, so. Okay.
We will eventually.
Yeah. Okay, motion second, any other comments? All
So
in favor?
you're going to go ahead and alter their budget this year and later to accommodate from the roofing to the guns, correct? So it will be done in this year.
The money they're talking about is already in our budget.
It's in your budget this year, but they'll have to line item change it, correct?
Only if they go over their total budgeted expenses for the year, which at this point is
That's the way it'll be done.
And when will these be bought, right away?
expected.
We can purchase it at any time now.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dan.
you
But the
voted
duty
on the
belts.
weapons, what about the leather?
Oh,
Your motion was just for the guns.
those are what guns, good point, thank you.
Well, I move on the recommendation of the sheriff to award bids for the duty belt and I guess holsters.
Just to do
Well,
it.
it's everything.
Yeah.
All the equipment that goes on.
Okay.
And you have one bid for that?
Yes.
Tell us about that bid, please.
That bid is from J&J Uniforms, which is in Maple Valley. We send out, and that bid amount is,
And you got one bid?
one was all we received. There actually were some other bids that come in after the time limit, so that's the only one we This is actually broken down
No, per each,
into each item, which is a cuff case, mace case, belt, and all, there's not a total price for all
Okay.
separately.
And is that the quantities of 60?
Yeah, well, it's each individual, times 60.
Okay. Okay. There's no quantity purchase price or anything like that?
Okay. I would move on the recommendation of the sheriff to provide our deputies with the duty belts, belt keepers, pepper spray holders, handcuff cases, magazine case, pepper spray handcuffs, handcuff strap, and duty holster. To J&J Professional Uniform here in Maple Valley.
well, I made the original motion, but I'll second your motion.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, that's good too.
Okay, any questions?
Here. Thank you, sir.
I would comment, I have a daughter that's a cop in Colorado, and with her new belt, she gets the oldest car because it's already got the seat worn out where everything fits. So she drives the oldest car she can get. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, request to solicit bids for security at River Road. Mr. Jared Faulkner will be speaking to us.
Jerry Farquhar, Director. We are updating the security in the annex building and the courthouse right now with all new cameras and stuff. And I would like to get approval for bid sales to start doing that at Weber Road also. That probably hasn't been updated since we took over the building and added a few cameras of ourselves, so that's probably, roughly, in technology terms, that's over in 6 months, so.
So the quality of cameras have improved considerably, I'm sure, since.
Correct, with night vision and everything into it.
Now,
Plus,
the-
we're gonna add a few more sensors and stuff into it, like motion detectors and, alarm for doors.
The resolution or whatever you call that in the cameras is really important. We've got cameras that we can see somebody climbing under the fence or at the road and bridge, and they come over and they took the flag down and told, you could see them do it, but you couldn't identify it. So
Right.
the resolution would really be helpful.
Yeah, most of them are gonna be in what they call HD 1080p resolution, so that's more the high def in, so,
Well, it's important and it's worth making an investment to do that.
yes,
And we did have that vandalism out there.
Yeah.
correct.
Later, okay.
I move that we solicit bids for the cameras for the Weber Road facility.
And I will second that.
Questions? Yes, Dan?
I just had a comment in support of that. We deal with a lot of bank security and building security around the county, and oftentimes whenever we go and retrieve video when something has happened, you wouldn't even recognize yourself on it, such poor quality. And if you're gonna make an investment in a business on anything, the quality of those cameras and the recordings are very important to law enforcement.
You bet.
I'll make one other comment. I wish we could have done this before this election, but you're storing ballots, live ballots in that building, and you, other than money, I guess cash, maybe even more than money, because you'll have the feds here if something would happen and you can't figure out what happened to ballots. So that's,
I know the case several years ago when one of the big box stores here had a photograph of people, of a man stealing a lawnmower. They had only the top of his head. They had nothing else. They just shined straight down on the camera. That's all they had. They couldn't find it. Okay, any questions, comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now is furlough the same as salvage?
Yes, these are the old cameras that were in the annex building and over at the courthouse that we just need to get rid of and destroy. Because they're no longer in use and very outdated.
Those are not gonna be on an asset list or, any idea?
Probably not.
I don't think they are.
IT was supposed to furnish that list, so I doubt if it's even on there.
Okay. Well, we need to approve it, then we'll check on the system on that, so.
I would move that we approve the salvage for the old cameras and equipment.
I'll second the motion.
Questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay, here comes Commissioner Mullins.
Yes, commissioners, we need to keep pushing forward the development of the Owl Creek County Park, formerly known as Bowenhole, talking with Department of Economic Development officials and area legislatures. I believe converting and expanding this area to park will benefit the citizens of this area, and it will most certainly bring in people from other areas and stimulate our local economy. Again, this is at no cost to the citizens of St. Francis County. Now, we signed the Stewart real estate contract back on February 11, 2020, with the caveat that the trustees fund the entire project using the monies from the Sarco settlement. Today will be for the acceptance of the 108.52 acres next to our 37.57 acre county park. I'm going to read a resolution. We, the commission, will be reviewing and signing more documents. I will send these documents up to Missouri DNR. They will get Sarah Parker Pauley, who is the director of MDNR, to sign, and then the trustees will have to sign. They will then release the funds to us. We will then get Mr. Stewart paid. Total amount given to St. Francis County is $710,000. The purchase of this property will be paid by the trustees using the Sarco monies. The amount for the land is $293,000 for the 108.52 acres. Not one dime from the citizens will be used. We will then take acceptance, and again, the paperwork process will also then take place. So what about the remaining $417,000? These monies will be dedicated to that actual project. Examples are title, stewardship contribution, operating endowment, project setup, field work, quarterly reporting, reporting costs for 10 years, site restoration activities, and reporting and long-term maintenance. So looking at that picture, you'll to the right, that's a borehole. This was left over from the mining days, maybe at the close, at the start, early in the 1900s. So the Soil and Water District will be, I've been told that they're going to give St. Francis County Soil and Water District an amount of $300,000 for the closing of these mine prospecting boreholes. Some of these pipes sticking out of the ground have been running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for possibly 100+ years. Now, this will address the surface and groundwater contamination concerns caused by the old mine exploration pipes that have not been capped or plugged. It will also address the soil erosion that these pipes have been contributing to. Now, I'm excited about this project because I'd like to point out that back in 2009, the commission was adamant in supporting the St. Francis County Soil Water Conservation District. So getting with area legislatures, I even contacted I believe you were represented at that time, weren't you, Kevin?
Yes.
Yes, so reached out to you and y'all, and you know, started documenting and pushing for funding. And on April 22nd, 2010, we, the commission, received a special plaque. This is special appreciation of the St. Francis County Commission from the Soil and Water Conservation Department. So I was glad to see that. So what led to this day? Well, let me give you a little bit of a brief history. May 16th, 1973, the St. Joe Lead Company deeded 37.57 acres to the St. Francis County Commission. November 24th, 2015, then Governor Jay Nixon and other area legislatures visited the soon-to-be first ever St. Francis County Park. On December 8th, 2015, the St. Francis County Commission made the 37.57 acres the first ever county park. December 16th, 2015, we met with John Weber. Now, he works for the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. Basically told me about if we were serious about expanding the park, then we need to show the trustees that we were serious. So I basically asked him if we would make small improvements to the park. Would that help with the trustees? He said basically absolutely. Well, here's a few examples. Would you mind advancing, please? Okay, so here is the Mina Joe Tunnel. It's a single level man-made horizontal mine shaft, which is a tunnel with two entrances, and is approximately 1,540 feet. We believe the tunnel was constructed to divert the flow of water away from the tailings impoundment built by the St. Joe Lead Company back in the early turn of the century. Back in March of 2014, I met with staff from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service to conduct a bat survey. United States Fish and Wildlife Service personnel found a bat population. They then put me in contact with the bat biologist who came out and explored the cave pro bono. This conclusion was 2 types of bats reside in the cave, one species on the critical list and the other on the endangered species list. Immediately called John Weber with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service and told him of the results. Well, this was the perfect opportunity to show the trustees we were serious. Would you mind? So after meeting with the bat specialist, he gave me plans for a bat gate. Now then I turned them over to our road and bridge supervisors, and they give them to our welders. So it took our employees about a week to construct a bat gate on both ends. Total cost of the material that was bought locally was $3,873.20. Now we had to do this because of many reasons. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service recommended it to obviously protect the bats and the cave resources, but also to protect the county from any liability. Now this bat gate was just a few of the tasks that helped pave the way for the eventual purchase of additional property and additional monies involved. Next slide, please. Okay, so another episode of expanding was dealing with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service to allow staff in the future on site visits. In the spring of 2020, I met with staff for a future visit to do a bird survey. On the morning of Thursday, June 25th, Hillary Wakefield with Missouri DNR and Katie Kelly with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service conducted a bird survey on the property. Carol, would you mind going back to that original slide of the property? Okay, yeah, I'd like to point out, so 3 points were identified. First, a potential restoration with the restoration area conducive to birds with low populations. Second, locations of the restored areas that needed to be addressed, like invasive areas not conducive to bird population. The example would be cedar trees. So this area's got a huge exorbitant amount of cedar trees, and they're all on the southern end and a little bit in the middle end, and it's overgrown with the cedars. And what we're going to do with the DNR, they're going to pay to thin these out. The third point was located in a bottomland forest area full of mature oaks, and this was also a reference point, and that is right by the river. So these points were marked with a GPS unit so the information can be stored for subsequent years and continued data for years to come. The actual bird survey consisted of standing at each point for 10 minutes to listen and look for any bird activity within a 100-meter radius. The birds were identified by species as well as their approximate location and noted on the field sheets within the 10-minute time frame. This gives us a kind of idea of what species of birds and their desired habitat versus what kind of birds we have in the potential restoration area. These bird surveys will continue as the restoration is occurring over the years and will be compared to the birds we have seen at our reference points. Another example of the St. Francis County being serious about the area was we, the commission, giving our commitment to the trustees of cleaning up the area. Now we showed this slide, we showed a slide back in February of cleaning up the area, and which we did. 21 tons of tires were on the property, and Brandon Walls with the Missouri Environmental Specialist with Missouri DNR, and Dan Fester with the Chief Scrap Tire and Illegal Dumping Unit with Missouri DNR basically applied and accepted and received a grant in the amount of $6,380.66, and this was at no cost to the taxpayers, and we removed those. So these are incidents that help lead to the creation of accepting this property. So I'd like to read this. Eric Gramlich, DNR Director, basically asked us to read this. This is a resolution in order of the County Commission of St. Francis County, Missouri, approving a contract by and between Missouri Department of Natural Resources and St. Francis County, Missouri, relating to the Ball and Hole County Park Stewart property acquisition and authorizing execution of the same. Whereas St. Francis County, Missouri is a county of the first classification in 49.270 RSMO, provides that the county commission shall have control and management of the real property of the county and may purchase real property for the use and benefit of the county. And whereas the county commission previously entered into a contract for purchase and sale of real estate by and between Joe Stewart, Jr., trustee of Joseph C. Stewart, Jr., Revocable Living Trust, dated 1/14/88. And whereas the Missouri Department of Natural Resources and county desire to enter into an agreement relating to the Elk Creek County Park Stewart property acquisition on the terms and conditions set forth in Exhibit A. Now therefore be it resolved and ordered by the County Commission of St. Francis County, Missouri as follows. Confirmation, the County Commission confirms that the recital statements and reasons set forth above relating to the purchase of real estate are true and valid. Resolved and ordered this 29th day of September 2020. So I would move that we accept this property and use it towards the further expansion and benefit of the citizens of St. Francis County.
And adopt the resolution.
Adopt the resolution.
And I'd second motion.
Questions? I would note that all through this document, it shifts back and forth between Bone Hole and Owl Creek. It's all the same park. We're going to start changing, calling that Owl Creek rather than Bone Hole in the future. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, letter of support, Park Hills Lions Club.
Yes, Commissioners, I was asked by Deborah Bunch, who is the Senior Vice President at New Era Bank, to write a letter of support for the Park Hills Lions Club. The letter of support is for a grant. They asked for a letter of support for the Play It Forward in the Parkland Playground. They are applying for a matching grant from the Lions Club International Foundation. This grant would be around $100,000 and would help pay for this all-access playground. So here's the resolution. To whom it may concern, the St. Francis County Commission realizes the need in the community for more all-inclusive amenities such as the Play It Forward in the Parkland Playground to be constructed at Engler Park in Farmington. We are fully supportive of and thankful for the Lions Club International Foundation and its efforts to make this project a reality. This will be a very important addition to our county as well as surrounding areas. Good luck and have a great day. So I would move that we send the Park Hills Lions Club a letter of support.
Second?
And I'd second that.
And this is no cost to the county?
No cost to the county.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Discussion of jail.
Just a note on that, I think we currently got between $700,000 and $800,000 committed to that project that will start next year.
Okay, and it's an expensive project. Okay, this discussion, not for action. We commonly get detainees from the prison to our jail, moving back and forth. And as you know, there's some COVID going on in the prison system. So there is no way now to isolate well those people from our normal population. We would like to add, I think the current number is 5 isolation cells to our existing system, a little wing, if you will. And to do that, we're working with, right now, Brockmiller, and they're working with the system on this. And it's strictly for COVID reasons, it's strictly that. They're thinking they can get 70 or 80% of this done by the end of the year. And so we're working on that. This is just a heads up, telling you what we're working on now. It kind of got carried away, turned it over to architect system, and suddenly the project just blossomed, became a huge system. We understand they would have had to hire 5 new people just to man the system, and it just got carried away. So we went back to the original request, 5 isolation cells basically, and it got it down into where it was a reasonable project. and we could get most of it done by the end of the year. If we can't get most of it done by the end of the year, and if there is no extension, then we will be responsible for that percentage that's not done at the end of the year. But we believe this is necessary anyway, but certainly because of COVID. So that's a heads up. Any questions? Yes?
You said you were working with Brockmiller. Was this competitively bid out, as I'm sure it's more than
There was an
$6,000?
RFQ on it, yeah.
Do what, I'm sorry?
There was an RFQ on it.
Oh, okay.
Rich?
Are we getting funding from the CARES Act to make this happen?
For that part that they can get done for the first part of the year, for the end of the year, yes.
Now, when the pandemic is over, what happens to these cells?
They'll still be used as isolation cells, because this is not the only disease we'll have to watch out for in history. So,
Thank you.
Dan?
Yes, ma'am. Just to go along with what Rich asked there, in the prison system, we have hepatitis, we have a lot of staff, MRSA, things like that. Other things where we have to put prisoners in, we have to shut down a whole wing sometimes just to keep them separated. This will take care of that also.
Yeah. They tried to get a rubber room in there, and that was so expensive, it kind of blew the picture out of it. You have some people come in that don't understand reasonability. Okay, any other questions? Okay, that's a report. Next meeting is Monday. We have a new term coming up. So there you go. Another bit of correspondence. Public comments. Departmental reports.
Commissioner, we've had a number of questions from the community as well as different entities wanting to know where their CARES COVID money is.
Yes, I'd like to, yes, I'm glad you brought that up. A little note on mine. So last week, we were supposed to receive the applications for the nonprofit entities, and I believe a few of the school districts, and had readjusted their applications. I was told by our director at the RPC that we would have the applications. Well, they had Jeremy Tans, who had the COVID-19 virus, and then several of his staff were quarantined. So with that, it kicked everything back a week. I did not receive the applications until Friday afternoon. It was a large file, could not pull it down. Tried this weekend, could not apply it down. Still printing out applications. Harold and I and Commissioner Wilkinson still need to review the applications. So that's why I took it upon myself, and I reached out to Amber earlier to delay this a week. And it's we need to do our due diligence and review the application. So I'm shooting for next Monday to award those entities, the nonprofits, the CARES fund.
Now, you're actually talking about awarding the checks
Yes.
for phase one.
I'm talking about awarding the entities for phase two. I've talked about as far as from the phase one, I believe the receipts still have to come in, and then we submit them, send out the check.
Other questions? Okay, any other departmental reports?
One last department report. Monday, we will at 4 p.m. we will have our senior citizen board meeting. It's an all-volunteer board, and we'll be meeting in this room. That's it stems from the 5 cents per 100 assessed evaluation on your property tax, and that goes to the senior centers. You have Park Hill Senior Center, Monterey Senior Center, Bismarck Senior Center, and Farmington Senior Center. Also, we've got another application from the Elvin's Food Pantry. In the past, we've only received one application from the Elvin's Food Pantry one time a year. But with the tough times going on, they have resubmitted for a second round. So it'll be up to the volunteer board to make that decision. So we'll be meeting Monday. Thank you.
I signed it, David, here. Very good, Mr. Commissioner. Just an update, as of this morning, we have in-person absentee balloted over 1,000 people since last Tuesday. We're still pushing the next few weeks to get people in. Everybody that gets in there and votes, we lessen the amount of precincts. We expect a half an hour to an hour and a half wait at the precincts with lines with the 6-foot spacing.
On election day.
On election day being down the street where we can get in. I know at least a half a dozen people here have already been over there, voted, got in and out in 5 minutes. It'd be very helpful if everybody could try to work on that. And we've already voted or mailed out over 1,000 mail-in ballots, and we've still got a few hundred requests that we're processing. I'd say by the election time we'll have over 2,000 mail-in ballots, and we've voted over 20 people so far curbside.
What is the final date on mailing in your mail-in ballot?
Well, the final date to ask a request for the ballot is the 21st of October. Final day to register to vote for the election is the 7th of October. And the final day to in-person absentee is the day before the election,
Okay, but your mail-in ballot, when does that have to be mailed?
21st.
So postmarked by the 21st, or?
No, I have to receive it. We're different in a lot of states. I have to receive it in-house by 7 o'clock the day of the election. So I would postmark it as soon as you can, but the last day to request one is the 21st. I mean, you can wait till the day before to mail it in. There is no last time to mail it in. You're just not gonna, your vote's not gonna get counted.
So if that ballot is received on November 4, the day after the election,
Doesn't get counted.
doesn't get counted.
That's right. I go around to the post office that day to see if there's any that are there, pick them up there, because our state's rules, which I totally agree with, is the ballot has to be in. Some of them have passed legislation in the last few weeks, letting them count them as much as a week to 10 days after the, well, there's too much chance of saying, okay, this was tight here, we'll go find some votes, as you saw, if you saw the video last night up in Minneapolis where they had a car full of ballots that they'd already harvested from the mail, because in some states that's different than our state too. They're sending to every registered voter. If you remember, I came before here last year and said when I came in, there was over 1,000 people that were inactive voters and hadn't voted in at least 2 federal elections. And I've got some residents with as many as 4 different people registered there because they moved out. So if you send, what they're doing in a lot of states is sending 4 different live ballots to different people, that residents that have moved out over the years. They're sending them without request to every person registered. Missouri's only if they send in a request in writing with their signature that we compare, that have to have 2 people compared to the signature on file, have to have their social security number, and it has to be sent to the address on record. So when people come in and they ask those questions all the time, our system is much, much tighter. Could you ever, if you knew your parents' social security number and could collect their mail, could you vote them? Yeah, that's a problem. But you can't do it in any mass farm, because you have to have all that information on before we will even send a ballot out. And another thing is, if you can make it into our office or drive-through, much easier. It costs us $5 to mail out every one of these ballots, which we've already got 3 times as many as what we normally have, and we'll probably have 5 times as many, so there's going to be thousands of dollars in cost. Just the postage on the outside envelope is $1 something. The inside envelope, we have to pay for the postage on the inside too, because it's been determined as a poll tax if we don't pay for their postage. So, we'd be charging them something if we required them to put the postage on the ballot. So we have to send them out with prepaid envelopes inside, 2 plus 2 envelopes plus 2. I mean, and it takes quite a while. So the point is, they can come in and some of the people, Betty was in there this morning, you can get in and out of our office in 5 to 10 minutes on most days and be voted, and watch your vote go through and be counted.
So our request is to everybody possible, vote early at Weber Road.
That's correct.
Take the pressure off the polls on election day.
That's the only way, 20-something different precincts, that I think that we can get that down, is to have as many people as possible. Especially some key areas like Bonne Terre, where they combined the precincts a few years ago. We had 3,300 people registered to vote in that little churches, and I appreciate the church letting us do that. But if we have 2,500 people vote there, and some of them don't come over, the line will be back to the mine. And then you're gonna have people screaming, and it's 2020, so the chances are it's gonna snow that day. Or, something will happen, and you're not gonna want people standing out 3 blocks, and they're gonna pull up and say, well, I'm not gonna wait 3 blocks to vote. But if we could get, say, 500 of those people to come over the next few weeks, it would be very helpful.
Okay, Flip?
Mr. Clark, I received, a number of other people received a mail piece probably a little over a week ago for you to fill out a for a mail-in ballot?
Yeah.
That did not come from your office.
No, it did not, even though it has our address to send it to, 3 different groups. Vote Missouri, one from the governor, one from, that are trying to motivate you to request that absentee ballot so that we will send you one. That does not request you ballot, I will have to send you, but you're right, and they're confused. Well, I got one from your office. No, we've never sent a request for that. That's a good point, because that they're out there, that's one of those things that you can buy websites, that's public knowledge, and you can do what you can, but they make it look like it's come from our office. Well, you gotta request your ballot. No, you don't. You can come vote over there, or you can vote at the precinct.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Any other public or departmental report?
You got one right there.
Yes.
Speaking along with the talk what they just did, October is known for Cybersecurity Month for the United States. So that's where the IT department's really gonna kick off a lot of videos and educational purpose for the entire staff employment of the county to help alert with the awareness of what's out there right now. Because like you said, we're getting a lot of mails that's gonna be phishing you to get information from you and stuff. So I just wanna let them know that we are working on that and it's gonna start October 1st from our department, send out videos and training stuff, so.
And a reminder of everybody that uses Tyler to redo your password.
Correct.
Tyler got hacked, and not us, but we want to protect ourselves, so redo your password if you work with Tyler software. Okay, anything else?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor? All right. Thank y'all.
Yeah, you